Now, back with Ticky Fullerton.
Yes, welcome back. Turning to the market, and it was a down day for shares, closing 0.4% lower. But for all you Bitcoin traders out there, the cryptocurrency has continued its unstoppable rally. Well, joining me for more is Roger Montgomery from Montgomery Investment Management. Roger, I can't believe it. The British Treasury now have gone and sort of, cramped the style of Bitcoin, but there it is barrelling through 12,000, isn't it, or something?
It seems like it's a stupendous parabolic rise, or hyperparabolic rise. But what you have to remember is that there is sentiment among people who are buying it at the moment that not many people own it. In fact, if you look at the number of wallets globally that have more than $10,000 of Bitcoin, there's only 500,000. And if you remember...
Is that not a lot?
Well, that doesn't seem like very much considering how many people own other currencies.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Yes, OK.
So you've only got half a million people.
It's a currency rather than a share.
Yeah, and another way of looking at it is that the total circulation, or the total number of, or the total value of US $100 bills and the total value of Euro $100 notes is about $2.5 trillion US. And the market capitalisation, if you like, of Bitcoin is about 120 billion.
So if you looked at this cynically as some giant great pyramid marketing scheme, for example...
that is certainly one valid argument.
OK, well, so your point about there not being many players in it, some would say, OK, well, even as a pyramid marketing scheme, then it's got a lot further to go. Indeed,
and the other side of that equation is, of course, the size of the economy that it might serve or that it might facilitate. So if you think, for example, that in-game purchases, people might use a cryptocurrency rather than a regular fiat currency. There's a lot of digital transactions that it might be useful for. So one argument says that the velocity of money times the amount of money is equal to the size of the economy. Now,
but then we've got various economies. We had China cracking down on ICOs, the coin offerings.
Yep.
Then we saw the market balloon out in Japan instead, opportunity there. Now we've seen Britain sort of push it down because they're concerned about money laundering. What if other countries, particularly Western countries around the world where the money is, start saying, no, we don't like it here either?
Well, it's less concerning. It really is up to the merchant about what they accept. So really what has to happen is legislation has to exist to prevent merchants from accepting it, and then people can't use it. But while merchants can continue to accept it, and note that in the last couple of weeks there have been people in both London and Sydney who've said they're willing to sell their houses for Bitcoin. So there is an expanding number of channels through which people can use Bitcoin. But I'm not an advocate of it necessarily. I think the downside is that the parabolic rise that we've seen usually is not sustainable.
Yes.
In any market, wherever you see a vertical lift-off like we've seen in Bitcoin, and as well as Ethereum and Litecoin, that is something that isn't sustainable. But does it correct from 10,000 or does it correct from 50,000?
I'm not in that game.
I just don't know.
Okay.
That's speculation.
OK, now, the other thing I was quite interested in was your article in the Australian the other day around disruptors and ecosystems. And when you're looking at an investment, say an Airbnb or an Uber or an Amazon, how being an ecosystem makes you much more confident about the investment than just a disruptor.
Well, really, what's interesting about ecosystems is, it's only my theory, but I have a thesis that ultimately consumers anoint the online businesses that build network effects. So it's ultimately the consumer who says, yes, I like that platform. But if you own an ecosystem, if you own the platform... then,
like Tencent and
like
WeChat.
Tencent and Alibaba and, they're the marketplace. They're the old Victoria markets. They're bringing the buyers and the sellers together, but what they can do is clip the transaction on both sides. They effectively own a share of every business that is on that ecosystem. You really are Earth, and you can charge an exorbitant rent for that.
Roger Montgomery, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Ticky.
And after the break, a year in review on the finance sector with Financial Services Council CEO Sally Loan.
At SEW,